Thanks for staying here on News Desk. Security agencies are meeting Christian leaders today for a discussion on security at churches in the wake of alert of possible terrorist attacks. Ahead of that meeting, we were billed to speak to the General Secretary of the Ghana Pentecostal and Charismatic Council, Reverend Emmanuel Bariga, but it appears that that meeting has already started because we were unable to reach him. We will keep our lines working and let you know what comes out of that meeting. But on Wednesday evening, my colleague Komla Adom spent some time at the Christian Action Faith Ministries International on the Spintex Road here in Accra to check out security measures put in place following the alert from Axis.
When you get into the compound of the Action Chapel here on the Spintex Road, you will be subjected to some security checks. So your vehicle will be subjected to some checks at the entrance of a compound. And then when you enter and congregants attempting to enter the chapel, there are various entry points here at the chapel. So as you can see in my shot, there's one here which has some installed detectors. So individuals who pass through these entrances will have to submit themselves to these checks. So the detectors will have to check whether individuals coming in have any metal objects or other foreign objects. Once they are detected, they are isolated and you are asked to stand by, step aside. So these are sorted out. But largely all the entry points, at least 5 of the entry points that I have been to since I came here, have these detectors. They are detecting and they are checking from congregants who are bringing foreign materials into the service. At the moment, there is the midweek service happening inside. Hundreds of people have already gone through these entry points and are in the chapel at the moment worshiping. But then the security officials here are still on high alert. As you can see, all those who are coming in, whether you are young or you are old, you are subjected to these checks here at the entry points at the Action Faith Chapel. Well, from my interaction with the head of security here, these measures were put in place some 3 years ago, but in the last few months, they have intensified the security arrangements here because of some of the threats that had been recorded in parts of the sub-region in the last few months. I have been speaking to the head of security here. He's been running me through some of the arrangements or the measures that you have put in place as a church to deal with the security threats. He told me that as far back 3 years ago, these security measures were instituted. Can you run us through briefly what necessitated these measures you talk about that you instituted 3 years ago?
I think everybody knows what is happening in the world. The world is a global village. Anything you see happening somewhere should inform you that, these are the trends. And if you watch what happened in other countries, it's enough indication that everybody needs to be you need to be aware of security issues. As recent as just about 2 weeks ago, even last week, you see what's happening in Sri Lanka, you see what is happening in Burkina Faso and other places. But 2 to 3 years back, there was a lot of targeting of American interests. If you remember, hotels even in Kenya, etc., were bombed, etc. So those things prompted us because we were hosting an international conference with Bishop TDJs coming in from the States. And because of that, you needed to be aware that, any program like that that exposes international community to the general public is something you need to take seriously. So we needed to make sure security was stepped up just to make sure those who were coming were safe and our own people were safe. So that's what necessitated it. Okay, and I imagine that you and the congregants have been having an interaction to sensitize them about how these processes work. How have they been taking it so far? Oh, initially it's a little, anything that is different and anything that is new comes with its own challenges. Normally, I walk straight into church. Why do I have to go through a metal detector? Why do I have to queue to be scanned to enter into a service that I used to walk straight into? So there's a lot of frustration, So that's the reason why you need to educate in advance. When people know you're doing things for their own good, then they warm up. Because actually, you can see that it takes a little longer to fill the church because people need to be scanned, people need to be screened, if you like. So those are the frustrations. But once people had an understanding of why these things were being done, it made it easier for them to appreciate. Besides, everybody listens to the news. Everybody sees and hears about what is going on outside. So you can understand and appreciate the need to step up security. We have children, we have young people, we have adults, we have foreigners. The whole place is full of all kinds of people. And numbers attract crime.
That's true. Now, I don't want us to go into the fine details of what exactly the measures are, etc., because we may be giving the bad guys some of the leads. But did it cost so much to implement these systems, for which reason other churches can emulate this example?
Oh, the cost is in different levels. There is the cost of the equipment. Then there is a cost of education. So that's two-way. But there's no cost higher than the price of life. So the cost shouldn't deter anybody. Now, the sizes of different groupings and churches and organizations vary. Because we have a lot of entrances, we need to invest more in the number of equipment we use. If you have just 2 doors, then you don't need too many walkthroughs. So the structure will determine the kind of investment you need to make. We have a big structure and we have a lot of people, so that's how come we needed to invest more than maybe others may have to do. But I think it shouldn't scare anybody.
Right. What's the assurance you give to other people, Christians, who are scared by everything that's been happening on the region or the continent? The Burkina Faso incident has scared many people. They've decided not to go to church again. Is there any assurance you can give them, especially those who are your congregants, for example?
Oh, I mean, everybody knows that God is our protection. God is our defense. God is our shield. But that doesn't mean that you take things for granted. You lock your door at home, even though you know that you have God, because you don't want the criminals to have an easy access. But I think if you look at the real facts around, it's not only churches. Malls have been bombed. Hotels have been bombed. Doesn't mean you will not go to a hotel again. Airplanes have been targeted. Doesn't mean you will not fly again. Crime is...
We'll let you know what comes up from that meeting between security agencies and church leaders when we're able to pick up anything. But away from that, reservoirs ensure that water is available, especially in times of need. The challenge, however, arises when users inadvertently leave the commodity to overflow and waste away, resulting in a lot of waste. Pupils of the Prempeh Basic School in Kumasi are providing a solution by developing a water level detector. On Tech Thursday, Love FM's Kwesi Deborah speaks with them on how the technology works.
Determining the level of water in this container is very easy. What about an opaque and closed container like this polytank? Unless you're using the method I call knocking. Can you hear that? Indeed, the top is empty whilst the bottom is filled with water. Well, because the water down there is swallowing bit of the sound. But can you do this for the next 30 minutes? Maybe you can, but I certainly can't.
Nowadays, a lot of homes in Ghana, especially homes that have overhead tanks, suffer a lot of problems. That is, when they are pumping water to the tank, they have no idea where the water has reached in the tank, which leads to overflowing of water.
Master Kelvin Obeng and his colleagues set up a simple machine comprising a resistor, transistors, cables, and LED bulbs.
The airline is on indicating that the water is at the bottom of the tank. The blue LED is also on, indicating that the water is half full, which will alert the user that he or she should get ready to turn off the pump. When it's red and the buzzer too is sounding alarm, it means that the tank is full with water, so the user should turn off the pump to avoid overflowing of water.
The children say they are working on a system to cut water flow automatically as soon as the red LED light is activated. Reporting for JoyNews, Kwesi Deb.
Interesting, isn't it?